Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast, coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on any podcasting platform you may be using. Our guest today is Michael James. He is the author of the touching and inspiring children's picture book, Princess Pumpkin, the Pocket Alpaca. In just a moment, you are going to hear that Michael James is coming to us from Los Angeles, California. We're publishing this podcast on October 5th. I want to let you know that on October 6th, tomorrow, I'll be just a few miles down the road from Los Angeles in California. I will be in Costa Mesa, California at the Orange County Children's Book Festival, the largest children's book festival in North America. The Reading with Your Kids podcast is going to have a great big exhibit booth. It's going to be numbered D5 in the yellow section. We are so excited. Lisa Caprelli, the author of Unicorn Jazz, will be there. And we will be making a magical debut of the Unicorn Jazz plushie. Dennis Matthew, the author of Bello the Cello, says he's going to be joining us. Marla Humer, Helena Bailey, and so many others. You can also catch the Reading with Your Kids magic show on the Illustrator stage. We'll be performing at 12:40 and 2:35. It is going to be a fantastic time. It's happening on October 6th. This Sunday, October 6th, the Orange County Children's Book Festival in Costa Mesa, California. Come on down and say hi. Joining us on the line right now from the Los Angeles area in California, he is the author of a wonderful children's book called Princess Pumpkin, the Pocket Alpaca. Please welcome to the show, Michael James. Michael, how are you?
I'm good, Jed. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm pretty wonderful. Michael and I were just joking about getting around the Los Angeles area and how easy it is to commute in all those beautiful highways.
It's fantastic if you have a helicopter.
Well, you don't have a helicopter. You have this beautiful children's book, and it is based on a real-life animal. There really is a Princess Pumpkin. Can you tell us about the story and about this very special alpaca?
Sure. So Princess Pumpkin, she's one of the smallest alpacas known to survive. She was born at 5 pounds, 8 ounces. Most alpacas are born about 18 pounds. We had her here on our ranch, and there's really two stories. There's her life story and her struggle to survive. And then there's the story that's in the book, which is a little bit about being different, about being small, how to fit in with others, and the value and cherished family moments. And so the story of her life, when she came into the world on Thanksgiving Day, she struggled, and she was so small she couldn't even nurse from mom. So mom walked away from her, as nature would have it. And so we took her in the house. We raised her in the house, and, she learned to be a house alpaca for a number of months, struggled with many health issues. We helped her through that. We're certain that we would lose her at some point. But she fought hard, and, we did everything we could to provide her the foundation to survive. And then the story of her life continues, where we then had to get her healthy and transition her back out to the herd. And so that's where the kids' book picks up, where she has to then fit in with others and learn to make friends, knowing that she's different.
So you were able to successfully reintegrate her into the herd?
Yes, absolutely. It took some time, as you can imagine, having a small animal like that
Sure.
You're bottle feeding every 2 hours. And then overcoming seizures, liver toxicity, other health challenges that would normally, present obstacles. We got her over that, and then had to train her to nurse from mom at 4 months old, once she was healthy and stable. And so that was quite the challenge, bringing mom in the house and really retraining both of their systems And then fast forward, transitioning her outside so she could live a normal life, keeping her protected and making sure that her health was still good. And then, as is natural for animals, you then have to take mom and baby apart and wean them. And so that was a complete roller coaster, both to get her healthy, to bond her with mom, and then separate her from mom when she was ready to become an adult. So as I said, we felt that there was a story there. We felt that there was some inspiration there. And as she started gaining sort of celebrity on Instagram, I started really getting stories from folks, messages, phone calls, and they would come to some of our events and really tell us how her story had touched them. Mm-hmm. And so we decided there was a story there, and we pushed forward to produce this book in hopes of inspiring people.
I have to say, I'm amazed and really impressed with your dedication to this animal. As you said, nature, mom would have walked away from this teeny creature that I'm told was no taller than 2 rolls of toilet paper. And so, on a human level, I can understand seeing this cute, adorable creature and wanting to care for it. But to then take the added step of reintegrating it into the herd, into it, allowing it to live a natural life. My wife and I were just at a sloth sanctuary in Costa Rica, and also learned some beautiful stories. But they had a number of animals that they had just said, well, these animals cannot be reintegrated, and we're not even going to try. So they're home right now. What was it in you that I understand the desire to save Princess Pumpkin, but what was it in you that said, no, it's not just enough to save her. I have to give her every opportunity to live a normal alpaca life?
Well, it was clear. It was clear that she was telling us she wanted company, mm-hmm. and we have adopted dogs in the house that she had become fast friends with. And as she started to grow and become stronger, and we started to worry less about her health and more about her development, we observed the joy that bringing mom into the house gave her, and that bonding that occurred. And so it was important. And on the realistic side, having potentially 140-pound animal growing up in your house has its own challenges. But it was important for us to do the best by her. And mentally, you could tell she wanted to be with others. She really wanted to make friends outside of the home. She would be up at 11 o'clock at night running around the house and sliding on the hardwood floors, just playing, and you could tell she really wanted engagement. It was important that if we were going to go through that struggle, that we were going to go through that emotional roller coaster with her, that we did the best thing for her and for her development. It was just important.
How difficult was it getting Pumpkin's mom to kind of go along with the program?
Yeah, at first, really difficult. As I said in the beginning, nature had sort of kicked in and mom had walked away from her. So we knew that it was going to be a struggle, but, bringing her in the house for the first couple of weeks, knowing that she was too small to nurse, I thought at the very least, there's nothing stronger than a mother-daughter bond. And if she was going to make it, we knew that was important. So that's what we did it. That's why we did it. And I think that played a big part in her recovery.
It's obvious that you have a phenomenal connection with Pumpkin, and you can hear it, the emotion in your voice and the love. And that's wonderful. And I want to talk a little bit more about that. But before I do, can you tell us about alpacas? I'm sure I've met a few in my life, and I actually wanted so much to have them. We live in the city of Boston, but we have a good size piece of property, and there was enough. But my wife was like, no. But tell us about alpacas and how they're different than llamas and dogs.
Sure. So alpacas are known as camelids. They're in the same family as llamas. They are herd animals, which means that by nature they enjoy being amongst friends. And so they have what I call, some people disagree, but I think they have the personality of cats. When you enter a room and you have a couple of cats, if they want to be near you, they're near you. If they don't, they head to the other end of the room. Alpacas are kind of like that. They are independent creatures, and yet they still like to be surrounded by friends. So they're very robust creatures in terms of they handle the weather really well. They handle I mean, they're from the mountains of Peru. So they're very robust creatures in that they're very strong-minded, but also very caring and loving. And so alpacas, they show their emotions by humming. So they provide this humming sound, which is very, I know it's unique. So they're unique from dogs in that obviously they don't bark, but they do provide a hum. And so you can kind of tell what's going on in their head and what they're thinking by how they're, what voices or what sounds that they're making. They're related, as I said, to llamas. They're a little bit smaller than a llama. And how you can tell the difference between an alpaca and a llama is a llama has ears shaped like a banana, and alpacas have ears that are straight, come to a point. So
Wow.
that's how you can tell the difference.
I love learning something. I've learned something new today. That's really cool. Now, I think alpacas and llamas, but alpacas mainly because they are a little bit smaller. I think they're just adorable. And how are they as pets?
Well, generally speaking, I don't know that. I guess some people do have them as pets. They are considered livestock, and they can be challenging. They do have teeth issues. They have eye issues. They require a certain amount of care. And I do have friends, and certainly we have Princess Pumpkin that we consider a pet. But they're similar to any other livestock in that it is work, and we do spend a lot of time making sure that they have what they need, that they're comfortable, that if it's too hot, they have some relief from the heat. We can't just, put them in a back bedroom and be gone for the day. They require, a bit of care. Once a year they get shorn, so we actually have to shave their hair. It's known as fleece. And, so that, entails quite a bit of, work to, bring in someone who can help us do that. We hold the animal down so that they don't hurt themselves. We shear them, and then we take that fleece and we make scarves and gloves and hats and other textiles from that material.
So are there Princess Pumpkin hats and scarves out there in the world?
Well, I will tell you, I have saved her fleece. I have not yet had it processed. The main reason we have not had it processed is her fleece is very fine. And so I'm waiting to have it done by hand rather than from a machine. There are two ways to have it processed. Obviously, one is more detailed and it takes more care than the other. To put it into a machine, we fear that there's going to be some waste involved with that. So, but we absolutely have little keychains with locks of hair of Princess Pumpkin, and she certainly has T-shirts and lots of other things available to her that I'm sure not many alpacas on this planet have.
I'm sure. The story, I understand that you're caring for the animal, but what was it that made it so important to share the story and to share the story of Princess Pumpkin with the world?
Well, I have had my own health issues throughout the years and have had family members who have struggled, and I just knew that there was a story here, and that combined with the fact that the love and the care and the effort that we put into saving her, I felt like I did not want it to be lost to history. Mm-hmm. I wanted to have it memorialized, and, when I'm old and gray, I wanted to remember this time. Mm-hmm. And so, since we've had her Instagram page and she's been visible in some of the schools and some of the other events, we've really just heard from so many people who have struggled with health issues, both young and old. And, one of the stories that I like to tell is we went to an elementary school with Princess Pumpkin. And one of the special moments we had there was when we met with the special ed class, and one of the nonverbal kids that was there just looked in her eyes and said, "Princess Pumpkin, I love you too."
Ah, so cool.
And it's moments like that that you feel like you've done some good in the world, and I feel like we just really need this right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things I noticed about the book is it's about cute animals, and it's a beautiful, loving story. But your book is more realistic than a lot of stories that have kind of just turned into cartoons that aren't realistic.
Well, we really wanted the book to have some authenticity to it, and so in terms of obviously personifying her adventures outside is, taking the story beyond what we see in reality in order to make the story relatable to kids. But we wanted it to be authentic, and so the barn that you see in the pages of the story, that's our barn. The other animals that you see in the story, those are her actual alpaca friends that are here on the ranch at Rolling Rock Ranch. And so it was important for us to have an authenticity, for her to be able to tell her story, and people can actually come to the ranch and visit Princess Pumpkin, take pictures with her, and actually see the other alpacas that are in the story with her.
So cool. The story you told of the young child with special needs telling Princess Pumpkin that he loved her too. I'm wondering what kind of reaction do kids have when they learn that Princess Pumpkin's mom kind of walked away from her?
I don't know that kids fully encompass what that means. I think what kids take away from it is that she was in trouble, mm-hmm. and she fought hard, and she didn't give up. And as a result of that, she learned who she was as a person, and didn't give in to being made fun of, didn't give in to her doubts, and that she came out on top. And then the closing illustration in the story is something that's close to my heart. It's a illustration of the whole family, mm-hmm. As it exists in my world. And so, whether someone feels different, whether they are different, whether they have a different family, that's their family, and there's value in that. And so I wanted to close the story with that because I felt that was so important.
I love that you're taking this story, this journey that you and Princess Pumpkin are on, because it is your journey too, and that you're sharing the world, and you're looking to inspire others with this story, and I think that's wonderful. One of the things I'm curious about is, how did you get into raising alpacas?
It's an interesting story, and it's a little bit by accident. As a kid, my parents raised me on a horse farm, and so we learned the value of hard work. We learned the value of having chores and what that meant, and we learned to respect and love animals. And so as I've gotten older in my life, I sort of missed that. That was something that was missing. And so about a little over 7 years ago, we bought a property that just coincidentally had barns and stables and had been a farm previously. We liked the house. We thought it was something that would work for us. And we sat and thought, what's something that we could manage, that we could love and care for and feel good about? And we started with a llama and one alpaca. And so that journey has led us to where we are today. And I believe strongly that the universe has lessons to teach you, and it guides you in a certain direction so that you can either heal from other injuries that you've had, either emotionally or otherwise. And I feel like as I look back on that there's definitely a path there that the universe put before me and has led me to the Princess Pumpkin story.
It's interesting that you're talking about that in healing. It's obvious how you helped Princess Pumpkin heal. How did Princess Pumpkin help you heal?
Wow. When the best answer I have for that is when I went through my health issues many years ago. Like many people, I felt alone. And what was different and what I had control of with respect to Princess Pumpkin was she wasn't alone. Mm-hmm. I was going to help her. I was there. She had a family here that rallied around her. And I think that there's a lot of people, and I've come to learn this through this process, that I wasn't alone when I went through all of that. There were people around me. I just couldn't see it. And so, if someone's, hearing this story and they're going through troubles, they're going through health issues and they feel like they're alone, you're not alone. There are people going through similar issues. There's, people who they've either come through the other side and can provide words of encouragement. There's Princess Pumpkin's story that tells you just don't give up, be yourself. And so I think I learned that, I've got folks around me who will rally for me and who will advocate for me. And I think that's just what I want everyone to know, is that this has been a healing process for me, but so many people have reached out to us to tell us what a healing process it was for them. And I feel good about that.
One of the things that I have heard is that this book, Princess Pumpkin, has made a big difference in the lives of the kids at the Children's Hospital Los Angeles. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when we got close to actually reaching production on the book, because it took some time because I wanted it to be right, I felt moved to partner with a charity that I thought could benefit from not only any proceeds, but just the story in and of itself. It was important to me that her journey, that her struggle, that the story itself, that in the end it meant something and wasn't just lost to history, as I said before. So we had reached out to Children's Hospital Los Angeles, and they have an amazing kids library there. When you go into the clinical ward, they actually have a small library on the clinical ward. So any child, regardless of their ability to pay, can receive care at Children's Hospital. And they feel so strongly about reading that they installed a library there. And a family member or a child themselves can go and they can request a particular kind of book. They can request a book about, their particular illness, or just if they don't want to think about their illness, they just want to read a really good book. And they get to keep those books. They take them home. And a touching story that they told me when I was there is many kids, for as difficult as their illness is to endure in the hospital, in some ways they look forward to it because it's the only books that they have access to. Mm-hmm. So that meant something. Mm-hmm. And so when we went, of course, we pledged proceeds during our launch to Children's Hospital, but we also took books to the library there and donated them to the hospital. I just think it's important that if a kid is having to go through that they have some sort of, way to express their imagination, to feel lost in a story that speaks to them, and then get to take that home. And it's one of the, one positive light of their time in the hospital. And I just think it's just a great thing that they're doing there.
It's interesting the phrase you use, becoming lost in a story. It's one of the things that I often think about is sometimes allowing ourselves to be lost in a story is the best way to find ourselves.
It's true.
Yeah. Tell us what's next for Princess Pumpkin, both on the page and in real life.
Yeah, so we've been doing periodic events here in Santa Clarita. Obviously, because she is a real-life alpaca, she weighs about 94 pounds now. She'll be 4 years old on Thanksgiving. It would be natural to want to take her to every location, but we try to stay close to home because she is a princess and she demands that. We do events here in Santa Clarita, both at bookstores and at kids venues. And then what's next for her? I really would like to explore, how her story continues. Our sort of 1 or 2 sentence recap of her story is that it's the story of a small, rejected, real life alpaca that was born too small to survive. She was adopted by humans and raised as a princess. And I feel like that there are plenty of kids out there that have experienced or gone through or maybe have questions about adoption and what that means for them. I think there's a story in Does My Mother Really Love Me? Did she really love me? Mm-hmm. So I'd like to see that, and we're exploring some storylines with that, and I'm just excited where the story goes. Importantly, I'm excited that we could get this far and get her story out, and that it could mean so much to so many people.
Well, I love that idea of talking about adoption, and so I encourage you to check with our friend. He's a good friend of the show, Dr. John DeGarmo. He is one of the leading foster care experts here in the United States and all around the world. So that would definitely be a great resource for you.
Right.
Speaking of resources, where can we go online to learn more about Princess Pumpkin and Michael James and everything that's going on?
Sure. So anybody can log on to the ranch website. It's rollingrockranch.com. But being the princess that she is, she also has her own webpage, princesspumpkinofficial.com. And they can check her out on Instagram at Pumpkin the Pocket Alpaca.
Awesome. We have been speaking with the author. An author is, it's so much more that you've done so much more for this story than just report it. You lived it and you experienced it and you're still living it. We're talking about, the name of the book is Princess Pumpkin, the Pocket Alpaca. And we've been speaking with the author and somebody who saved Princess Pumpkin, Michael James. Michael, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today and sharing this beautiful story with us.
Thank you so much.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Mark Gunning. He is the author of I Told You So, a great middle grade series. You do not want to miss our conversation with Mark Gunning. If you are the author of a fantastic children's book, you were probably surprised when you discovered that in addition to being the author and maybe also the illustrator, the minute your book was published, you became the marketing director. That's right. You are the person who is most responsible for letting the world know all about your fantastic children's book. It doesn't matter if you're published by the largest publishing company in the world. You are the person that is most responsible for putting the word out about your children's book. You don't have to do it alone. We would love to help you. We have a fantastic program called the Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read Program. We have assembled a team of evaluators and teachers, parents, and kids, and if they believe that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read. And with that status comes a number of fantastic tools that can help the world know that your book deserves their consideration and a place on your family library. Check it all out today at our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so very, very wonderful. Of course, we want to thank our guest, Michael James. Check out Princess Pumpkin, the Pocket Alpaca. I also want to thank my amazing producer, Fatima Khan. Be sure to check out Fatima's blog at readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank Augie the doggy for watching my back and my ankles here in the studio. And I want to thank my beautiful wife for all of the support that she gives me. And of course, most of all, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.